Hello friends, I am Narendra Verma once again with you with the another chapter in business studies for class 12, that is business environment. So in today's session we are going to cover meaning of business environment, definition of business environment and features of business environment. Alright, so without wasting much time, let's start. So this word business environment is the combination of two words. One business and another is environment. Alright. So if I talk about business, already we know the definition of business. What is business? Business is an economic activity which is done on regular basis to earn profit by exchange of goods or services. Alright. Now, but here this definition is not being applied. Here business means this environment is related to business. Okay, so business is there just in relation to environment. So we need to understand the meaning of environment there. So if you go in environmental science, there you find a different definition of environment. There you get that the physical and non-physical factors form in totality, that is environment. But here definition changes a bit. Okay, for understanding the definition we need to understand few points regarding that. Very first, see, let's talk about a business organization. A business organization works in an environment. Okay, and it has to work in an environment because it cannot work in universe, it has to work in the environment. So what happens when a business organization starts working in that environment, then it is affected by the factors available in the environment. Okay, and what are these factors and how these factors are going to affect a business organization? See, there are numerous kind of factors. Out of those factors, a few factors are there which are there in the control of the organization, means which are controllable by the organization. Organization can control them up to some extent. For example, suppliers, investors, customers, competitors, employees, an organization can control them. Okay, if you talk about supplier, how an organization can control supplier? Say for example that one supplier is not delivering the goods in time, then they can change the supplier. If one supplier is giving them raw material at costly rates, then they can change. Okay, similarly, if their employees are not working properly, they can hire new employees. Okay, likewise, they can get the feedback from the customer and according to their taste and preferences, they can start producing the products and providing the services. All right. Okay, so these factors are there which are there in the control of the organization up to some extent. Okay, but there are some more factors which are not there in the control of an organization. Okay, these factors are known as uncontrollable factors. Okay, like whatever is happening all around, wherever the business has been expanded up to in the whole arena, whatever is happening, that happening is going to cast impact on the organization. Okay, for example, you must have seen that in India, when Diwali starts approaching, then most of the companies start giving the advertisement, start attracting the customer, because they know very well that this is the time when the customer is ready to buy, ready to make purchases, he's ready to spend money, whether it is buying refrigerator or other home appliances or vehicles or garments or anything else, right? So this event of Diwali is impacting the businesses. All right, so this is happening just because of the factor available in the environment. And what is that factor? That is a social factor behind it. Okay, if you take the same example in an Islamic country, if Diwali comes, there will be any difference? The companies which are working there, they will be giving the advertisement or they will be attracting the customer for the same? Not at all, because they know very well that nobody is going to spend money at that point of time. Understanding what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that whatever factors are available, that social factor is available in the environment, so that social factor is affecting the business. Okay, that is why as many festivals are there. If you talk about India, India is such a country which has a lot of festivals, whether it is of Muslim, Hindu or any other religion, then all the companies start taking the advantage of that. Okay, because for them that is a kind of opportunity. Okay, and let me tell you in detail that in business environment, whatever is happening, for some company it is opportunity, and for some company it is a threat. Okay, when we get into the detail, I will explain you that the same event can be the threat to any company and can be the opportunity for other company. Okay, now let's move on. So these factors like social factors. Similarly, another factor can be their economic factor, technological factor, okay, and legal factor. These factors or dimensions, or you can name them forces, these somewhere indirectly influence the performance of business. Okay, if any new act is passed in the country which is affecting the performance of business, then it is very much complicated. Okay, now I would like to give the example of liquor banning in Bihar. Okay, so when government took that decision, then hotel industry of Bihar suffered a lot. Okay, so we can say now which factor affected them? The legal factor affected them. Okay, so in that way there are various factors which affect the performance of business. Understanding? Okay, so very first what we understood that business works in an environment. Okay, an environment has a lot of factors. A few factors are controllable by the organization. These factors form a kind of environment which is known as micro environment. Okay, and there are certain factors which are uncontrollable which form macro environment. Okay, whether these factors are controllable or uncontrollable, they directly or indirectly influence the performance of a business organization. Okay, and these all influencing factors somewhere form in totality a kind of environment which is known as business environment. All right, I just show you by one diagram. So by this diagram we can understand this is the one business enterprise which is working in the business environment, and the environment consists of two kind of environment. One is micro and another is macro. So micro environment is the controllable environment which affect the organization directly, and the macro environment is the uncontrollable environment which affect the organization indirectly. All right, but when we talk about business environment, we talk about both of them. Okay, we talk about both factors, whether these are influencing the organization directly or indirectly. Okay, so in totality we see that these all factors which are influencing the business organization directly or indirectly, individually or in groups, these form a kind of environment outside the organization which is known as business environment. Okay, now we can form the definition of that. Okay, so we can form this definition: the sum total of all the external forces. Sum total means in total we have taken all the forces, and when we say this word forces, okay, it means factors, it means dimensions, okay, or you can name it aspects. All right, so here we are using only single term. So the sum total of all the external means outside the business. Okay, the sum total of all the external forces which directly or indirectly, directly means the factors of micro environment, indirectly means the factors of macro environment. So which directly or indirectly affect the performance of a business is known as business environment. Understood? So this is the kind of definition you can learn that. Now let's move on towards its features. So features or characteristics of business environment. We know very well that either we can call features or we can call them characteristics. It is the same one. Okay, so there are 7 features of that which are given in your syllabus, in your book. Okay, and but I have changed the sequence of these features because you know very well that every time to remember all the points, we people make a code. Okay, so this time I'm going to write the code for this, so you can have a look. This is the code. Dad can resolve issues especially under terror. You will have to imagine that there is someone's father and he is solving the problem under tension, under terror. Okay, so you'll have to imagine that kind of situation. You know very well that you have to imagine something unusual, only then it leaves impact on your memory and you can remember it for longer period. All right, so I just write down one by one all the features. So let's have a look. In that, D stands for dynamic nature. In can, C stands for complexity. In resolve, R stands for relativity. And issues, I stands for interrelatedness. And in specially, S stands for specific and general forces. And in under, U stands for uncertainty. And in terror, T stands for totality of external forces. All right. So this is the way to remember all these features together: dynamic nature, complexity, relativity, interrelatedness, specific and general forces, uncertainty, and totality of external forces. So within a moment, we are just going to have discussion on these features one by one. So let's talk about very first feature, that is dynamic nature. Let me tell you that business environment has all these points, right? If you see from different aspect, then you will come to know that business environment has all these points there present in that. Okay, that is why we are calling them feature. Fine. So dynamic, you already know the meaning of dynamic. Means something that keeps on changing, which is having the nature of changing. Okay, so if you see environment, forget about the business, you see the environment around you. Whatever is happening around you, that keeps on changing. Okay, whatever is there in today's life that was not there if you go 20 years back. Okay, when you have discussion with your parents, they must have told you their stories that in our time there was different system, we used to do that, we used to do this. Okay, but your time has changed. There are a lot of technological improvements and scientific improvements. Understood? Okay, so if you want to take example, there are plenty of examples, numerous examples, unlimited examples of environment. That environment keeps on changing. I just give you the example that you can understand pretty well. Okay, few years back there was a kind of camera which has reel system. There were few companies like Kodak and all. Okay, and if you see in present scenario that there is no reel camera. Okay, you have all the DSLR and phones are working as cameras in present scenario. Okay, so that real camera has gone out. Why? Because time has changed. Okay, earlier you see the electric bulb of 100 watt. Okay, then the time came on LCD and now LED. Okay, and further if more improvements are made, then we'll switch to that as well, right? So that is happening just because of continuous changes in the environment. Okay, so business environment keeps on changing because technology keeps on improving. Okay, scientific improvements keep on taking place, and consumer also keep on changing their habits. Okay, they want change in their fashion. If you see the Bollywood movies of 70s or 90s, then you find different fashion there. Or you can talk to your parents and grandparents, at their time different fashion was there, and in present scenario different fashion is there. Similarly, eating habits also change. Okay, so customer changes his taste and preferences. Similarly, government also has been changing a lot of rules, regulations. Okay, so changes are there in the environment, these keep on changing. So that is why business environment has a feature which is known as dynamic nature. Understood? Now let's move on to another feature, complexity. What does it mean? Something which is not easily understood, you can name it complex. Okay, so business environment is a complex phenomenon. Why it is a complex phenomenon? Because what happens if you try to understand the impact of various factors on particular business, then sometimes you understand that this factor has affected up to this much level, but most of the time you are unable to understand that which factor is affecting more and which factor is affecting less. Okay, because like I told you, controllable factors means you can control them, but what about the uncontrollable factors? Uncontrollable factors are affecting your business in what way, in what manner, you never know in detail. Okay, some part you can understand, but in totality you cannot understand that it has affected to your business, how much, in what extent. Okay, I just give you an example for that. We can take the example of prices of petrol and diesel. Okay, so often we have seen that in international market the rates are low. Even then, the national government in few countries, the prices are not being reduced. There are certain reasons behind that. If we talk about the oil companies, then you will come to know that what is the actual story behind it. Okay, because they are also unable to understand that why these are not going reduced, because what is happening in international market, the price of the crude oil is decreasing, but what about transportation? What about the demand increasing? Okay, and what about if the demand increases, then they have to store, and their storage cost also increases. So there are various factors. Okay, we cannot understand that by stroke of one event the big impact will come. Okay, there are various factors working behind that. Okay, and it is a complex task to understand all those. Understood? Now let's move on to another feature. So the next feature is relativity. Okay, let's understand the meaning of relative. Relative means related to something. Okay, means related to particular thing. Business environment has this feature that one event may cast very large impact on one place, but the same event may not cast even a minor impact on one place. Okay, so the impact or influence, we say influence of business environment or the factors of business environment differ place to place, country to country, and even region to region. Okay, like I tell you, as per the geographic situations, these factors start affecting. So let's understand it by one example. Okay, if you see in the month of June, then in most of the regions of India, you will find the summer weather, and there the demands of AC and cooler increases. But if you see the region where still the weather remains cold, there the demand of AC and cooler does not increase. Okay, so the same event is there, same time is there, but even then one particular region is being affected more and another particular region is being affected very less, or a minor impact is there. Understanding what I'm trying to say? Okay, similarly here the same example of Diwali can be given, Diwali event. Okay, so in India you see the impact of Diwali event. Okay, so here all the businesses are receiving very high influence of that. But if you see the same situation in other countries where Diwali is not celebrated, then amount of impact is relative. Okay, it is differing from country to country, place to place, as per the situations. Okay, now let's move on to another feature. So the another feature is interrelatedness. Interrelated means related with each other. Okay, so in business environment we have already understood that there are various factors and elements, and all these factors somewhere are interrelated. Okay, how these are interrelated, let's talk about that. So let's take the example of two factors. There are two factors in business environment. One is technological. We'll be understanding about these in detail later on. And another is social. Okay, so on the basis of technological improvements, then what happens? The consumer preferences start changing. These both are interrelated. Okay, I just give you one example. In your kitchen you must have seen there is a mixer grinder. Okay, what is that? That is the result of technological improvement, right? Okay, so that technology came and businessmen start producing that. Okay, and what happened? The consumer noticed that the technology has changed, because the consumer was earlier facing the problem. Okay, there was a lot of time engaged in crushing and all, and lot of human efforts was also being put in that. Okay, so they noticed the advantage of that, and now they have changed their habits. You will find in every kitchen that mixer grinder. Okay, now it has become a part of their life. Now they have changed their habit. So you can see that just because of the technological factor, mixer grinder came, and now it became the part of social factor, that is the consumer preference, habits and all. Okay, so that is why we can say that business environment has one more feature, that is interrelatedness. There can be many more examples given in the same regard, okay, which prove that all the factors, all or two or three factors, they have interrelationship between them. Okay, if we talk about applying any legal law, okay, then that has the impact, okay, that has the impact on society, that has the impact on economy, that has the impact on politics. Okay, so that is why we say that business environment has one more feature, that is interrelatedness. Okay, now let's move on to another feature, specific and general forces. Okay, let's understand that. What are the specific forces? These are the same. Specific forces are all those factors and forces which affect a business individually, okay, or directly or immediately. And what are those factors? Factors like consumers, competitors, okay, investors, and suppliers, etc. I just give you an example related to competitors. Okay, you must have seen there are two halwai shop. Okay, so if one halwai is selling his samosa, okay, at 10 rupees, then another halwai will also have to sell his samosa at 10 rupees. Okay, if he keeps the price of his samosa higher than his competitor, then what happens? Okay, there is a very high probability that the customers will go to the one who is selling the samosa at lower price. Okay, so just because of the competitors, okay, his business is also being affected. Okay, we understand that point. Just to show his quality, he can increase a price, but he cannot increase price beyond a limit. Okay, if he wants to increase the price just on the basis of showing the quality to the customers, then he may keep it 12 or 15, but he cannot make it 20 or 25. Understanding? Okay, similarly, he cannot reduce the prices at all. Okay, because then also the consumer will start doubting the quality. Okay, so the competitor is somewhere affecting the business of this one. Okay, so that is the specific force. Okay, so I just give example of competitor. Similarly, examples can be given consumers, suppliers, etc. Already I have given the example of supplier. Okay, so these forces are affecting an individual business, okay, directly. Okay, because only one halwai's business is being affected by that. Okay, the person who is selling vegetables, his business is not being affected due to halwais. Understanding what I'm trying to say? Okay, but general forces are all those forces and factors which indirectly influence almost all the business. Okay, so what are these factors? These factors are the same one: social, legal, technological, economic conditions. All right, so if we talk about economic factor, then let's understand, if inflation is touching the sky, so that is casting impact on all the businesses. Okay, if the rate of interest on loan being provided to the people, okay, is reduced by RBI, then that is creating impact on all the businesses. Okay, similarly, if we take the example of legal, if any law is passed in a country, so that is going to affect all the businesses indirectly. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to say, that business environment has both forces, specific as well as general forces. Okay, specific forces influence an individual business immediately or directly, and general forces affect all the businesses indirectly. Okay, now let's move on to another feature, uncertainty. Right, uncertain, when something is uncertain means you cannot predict. Okay, so in business environment, predictions of futures cannot be made. Okay, if you make predictions for futures, okay, then only the things can be certain, but here anything can happen at any time. Right, there is the uncertainty in the market. Okay, If you have the information of business environment, you can take the better decision. For that, you will have to be awake all the time. But what is going to happen next second, next hour, next minute in the market, in the environment, you never know. That is why business environment has the feature of uncertainty. Okay, so here you can take the example of COVID-19. If we see from the eyes of the business, then who thought that there will be a time then every business will be stopped except the pharmaceuticals and essential services. Okay, if you see the business of airlines, that has stopped completely. Okay, if you see the business of manufacturing of home appliances, that is stopped. Okay, manufacturing has stopped, production has stopped, services are also not working so efficiently as these are supposed to work. Okay, so who thought about it? It is uncertain. That is the event. Okay, that is the event in the business environment, and it is affecting all the businesses. Okay, so that is the uncertainty. So business environment has the feature of uncertainty. We cannot predict what is going to happen in future. Okay, and which element is going to affect you, how, we cannot say that, right? Let's move on to another feature, totality of external forces. So in business environment, all the factors, whether these are specific factors or general factors, or we better call them, whether these are the factors of micro environment or macro environment, that influence the business and that remain in the business environment all the time. Okay, and these all factors keep on affecting the business simultaneously. Which element, which part, which factor is affecting which business at what time, we cannot say, right? All the time we'll have to consider under business environment all the time. Now all these factors in total are affecting the performance of business. Okay, only a single event is affecting, we cannot say. There are various events. If we study the environments and its dimensions in detail, then we'll come to know that all the dimensions of the environment keep on affecting a business continuously in total. It's not like that only a single part of that is affecting. All the elements and parts keep on affecting in total all the time. Okay, so that is why business environment has one more feature, that is totality of all external forces. Okay. So this is all for today. Very soon I'll be meeting you in the another video. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.